Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, and Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Well, hello. It's once again, it's one of those times where I get to actually talk to myself, and I'm going to imagine like there's hundreds, let's go really big, hundreds of thousands of people out there listening to me talk. When I just recently, I'm going to tell you, my name is Bobbie J. McLaren. It's actually at the bottom of the screen. But recently I had a major sinus attack of some sort, and I lost my voice completely. And my family was somewhat, I would say pleased, if not astonished, because they said it would be harder to silence me than it would be to keep water from coming through a dam. So, you could blow a dam up, but they said they just couldn't get me silent. So here I am. I'm looking at myself, but I'm imagining all of you and all your really smiling faces. And I'm going to talk to you today about the first book that I had published with Reader's Magnet. And it's my first ever children's story. I'm going to show you the cover of it. It's called the first annual Duck Springs Whistling Contest. And it's the artwork. This is actually the character in it. His name is Tyler James, who is actually my great nephew. He was 6 years old when I actually started it and had written this book. And Tyler James is not his last name, but hey, well, thank you, Sophie. It's good to see you. Well, not see you. I'm imagining these things, right? Okay. But thank you. Anyways, and this is about, I love the name Duck Springs. Duck Springs, I moved here from South Florida to Alabama, and this next year, 2023, I will actually be in Alabama for 40 years. I can't even hardly believe that. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I've been here that long. But when I used to take my mom and dad, when they both were still living, and I would take them to doctors in this nearby city called Gadsden, we would go down US Highway 11, and on US Highway 11, there's these little off roads that go to these little towns. Now, let me clarify. When we first moved here to Alabama, where we live, I mean, this is a gorgeous area. If you ever need to go somewhere that's like really neat, I live right near what's called Little River Canyon. And it is supposedly it's the only place where a river runs full length on the top of a mountain, which is Lookout Mountain. It goes all the way to Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it was all chert roads. I didn't know what chert was when I moved here, but I found out that it's kind of like a gravel mix stuff. very different from what we had in Florida to some degree. When it gets wet, it's really yucky, muddy. But anyways, after moving here, taking my parents down to Gadsden for different doctor's visits and things, we would pass this little road that went off to the right, and there was a sign there that said Duck Springs. Like, wow, what a neat name. Where do you live? I live in Duck Springs. Well, that's pretty cool. Of course, they got a lot of weird names around here. Like, there's one place called Lick Skillet. I'm like, that's kind of crazy too. But anyways, and Dogtown, of course, and it's just they're really quaint little places. Well, anyways, so I saw that name and I thought one day I'm going to incorporate the name Duck Springs. Hi, Clarence. I'm going to incorporate Duck Springs into a story. So I'd come up with this story about a whistling contest, and I thought, man, we're going to put Duck Springs in there. Well, I didn't ask the people there because I'm not even sure. I'm sure it's a town because it actually had a sign that said they're there. But there's also little places where they say that's the name of something and there's not even a gas station or anything. But now Duck Springs is actually a little community. But I figure that maybe they'll be honored that I put them in my book. So the book is actually about a little boy who, I'm going to show you the cover again, who he sees this poster in the window, and the poster says that they're having their first annual Duck Springs whistling contest. And one of the prizes, of course, the grand prize is like a $50 gift card to somewhere. But one of the prizes is a silver whistle. Are you ready for this? Oh, check it out. A silver whistle, like what the policemen use, or what you would have like at a coach or something like that. And yes, I will do that, Mark. And this is what he wanted. He didn't care about that $50 gift card. He didn't care about anything except this shiny silver whistle, because he knew, listen, what kid doesn't want to have something that's going to make noise and that is yours? And hey, policemen use it, people of importance, coaches, referees, all different kinds of things, they use these whistles. So he wants that whistle. Well, he practices all the time. He's only 6 years old. He's practicing at school. He gets in trouble. He has to go to the principal's office. Well, he's got it down to where he thinks, man, I've got this. So one day, now, what I'm really excited about this book is a lot of the illustrations like this one. I was actually able to draw this illustration and I sent it to Reader's Magnet, and they colorized because I don't do coloring. I mean, I like coloring books, but that, I have to color in the lines. I wasn't sure what colors would draw kids' attention. Well, I love the orange and the yellows. I think that's really cool. And of course, the orange and the blue. Hey, man, that's gator colors. You can't go wrong with gators, thump, thump. Anyways, and so you go into the book, and there's a lot of the drawings that actually, and it starts out with him once again, Tyler, looking in the window, and he is just so excited. Now there is the poster that is all over town, and it says it's going to be in the city park. It's first annual, man. It's great, and they're going to get this $50 grand prize for whoever wins it in that group. Okay, so then this little boy, he is Mr. Johnson's son. Now he works at Johnson's General Store where this poster's hanging in the window, right? And if you'll notice, he has a name tag right there that says Brandon. Well, Brandon's my other great nephew. He's a little older, and I'm so proud of him. Right now, he actually is no longer a young man like that, but he's still young. He's only 23, but he is an RN in the emergency room here locally. The boy is the man. I see him as a little boy still, but the man is so dedicated, and I'm so proud of him. So I've dedicated this book to my two favorite great nephews. I only have two, but don't tell anybody. Anyway, it's my two favorite great nephews. And so Brandon, he's looking upset because, well, his dad, Mr. Johnson, makes him go out every hour and clean the windows off where the little kids have had their noses pressed up against the window and their hands all over it, looking at that poster and dreaming about winning. Now, some of the kids probably want the $50. I mean, hey, you can buy games, you can buy clothes, you can buy all kinds of stuff. $50, you know? He wants the whistle. So he practices and practices. And look, there's his contest entry. He's going to fill that out, and his mom got it for him. So off he goes, and there he is in school. Look at him right there, whistling. Not a good thing to do in school. Personally, I know these things myself. Yes, I too got in trouble sometimes. Hard to believe. Yeah. And there's a picture of the whistle. And look how shiny. Look at the little pictures. Okay. And then all of a sudden he's going home one day from school. I'm not going to read you the book. I'm giving you a little synopsis here. He's on his way home from school, and he's only 6. So he's got his scooter and he's going down the sidewalk and he's having a grand old time thinking about the whistling contest. And all of a sudden, out jumps Billy. Out jumps Billy. Billy, you'll love this. Billy is the principal's son. Principal's kids are kind of like preachers' kids. And I know what that's like because I'm from a family of preachers. It's probably why I was such a little hellion. Anyways, so there's Billy, and he jumps out and he's like, "Arr!" Oh, did I scare you? It's okay. So he jumps out and he scares Tyler. Well, Tyler crashes into the bushes with his scooter, and what happens? Oh my gosh, he gets a tooth knocked out. If I was 6 years old and that happened, besides the fact that I'd want to beat the snot out of Billy, which, Tyler's a little bit smaller than him, um, I would cry. But I'm a girl. I can cry. Boys can cry too. Look, there he is. My tooth. Ah. And now, okay, for all of you realists, bear with me here. It's very hard showing a baby tooth that has no roots because people are like, well, what's that? So, you have to put little roots on teeth because otherwise people don't sometimes know it's a tooth. But now, you and I that are a little bit older than like 12 and 13, we know for sure that a baby tooth has no roots like that. It just like it's rounded. But for you to know that it's a tooth, we put roots on it. So now poor Tyler, look at him. He's dreaming, I'm going to lose. No, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to lose. Dreams can be rough, man. I'm just telling you. When you go to bed at night, if you got stuff on your mind tries to process it. I'm just telling you, your mind will try to process it in any way it can. Sometimes if you've got certain things on your mind, you may have just awesome dreams, where other things you could be having nightmares. So you might want to go to bed at night with a nice song on your head, just worshiping God or anything that's going to have pleasant sleep. The Bible says that God gives rest to those. So rest to those who trust him. I would trust God to go to bed. I used to be scared of everything. Now, whatever happens, happens. So there's his mom the next day. Now, I did try to draw this picture, but I'm going to be real honest with you. I could not draw mom hugging Tyler. It ended up looking like the Michelin Man hugging the marshmallow guy from the Ghostbusters. And I kept looking at it going, oh, this is not working. So I told Reader's Magnet, Reader's Magnet, they published my book. Anyways, I asked them, I said, guys, can you please get me a mom hugging little Tyler? Because everything I'm drawing looks like 2 marshmallows hugging or the Michelin Man hugging the giant marshmallow from the Ghostbusters. Now, that's crazy. So there she is, and she's comforting him, and she's saying, Tyler, no matter what you do, man, I'm going to be proud of you. You just do your best. Now, there are some parents, and thank God I didn't have that kind, but there are some parents that really don't care whether you do good or not. They're not as involved with their kids. This area in Alabama that I live in, when I grew up in Florida, our parents were involved in our life. It's just a matter of, I'm 68 years old. So, when I was 4, 5, and 6 years old, if I was in the neighborhood and I lived now, South Florida at that time was very rural. And that's my first book that I ever published about growing up down there. But it was very, very rural, very similar to the small town I live in now in Fort Payne, Alabama. And when I was in the neighborhood, all everybody knew everybody. And if I was in somebody's yard and I was misbehaving, yeah, not only did they send me home, they sent me home with a spanking, like hit my butt, and you go home. And then they would call my mom, which at that time we had party lines. Most of you people don't even, some of you don't even know what a party line is. Anyways, had party lines. So by the time I got home, my mom was waiting. Life was rough, but I made it through. Hey, and most of it was fun. So, anyways, there's mom saying, "Oh, Tyler, I'm going to love you no matter what. You're just a wonderful child." And, it's probably a little snot, just like the rest of us have been in our lives. So here they are practicing. And look, there's even little Billy watching. Oh, Billy. But he's going, he wants to do something. Well, guess what? There's Tyler getting ready. And they call him up. Look at him whistling. Him in that cap. But here he is whistling. He's just a whistling away. And he thought, how am I supposed to whistle before he went up there with a tooth out? Now, if you have been around children, or if you've been a kid, which I know you've been a kid. If you're watching me, you were a kid at one time. So, anyways, if you were a kid, or you know your grandchildren or your children, and they get a tooth knocked out, when they talk, they kind of talk funny because, and if they've got both front teeth knocked out, then they really talk funny because you can't do your you have to, and yes, I do a lot of weird stuff. Just bear with me here. But anyways, you can't whistle as well. Now I learned how to whistle with my fingers, and also like that, and I can whistle like that too. But at the same time, when you have a tooth missing and you're little, it kind of shakes up your confidence a little bit, right? So here he is, and now he's finally whistling in the contest. Thank you, Sophie. There it is. He's whistling in the contest. He's just, look at those musical notes. Aren't they cool? I love this book. And guess what happens? Oh my gosh, he won. Look at that tooth missing. There he is with his silver whistle and his $50 gift card. Wow. So here's the whistle. I don't have a $50 gift card to show you. Give me a find. I might be able to find $50 bills somewhere. Maybe I could borrow one from somebody in the other offices. Okay, so there he is. And he's so happy. And guess what? At the very end, here he sees Billy afterwards. And Billy's very sorry because now his dad has grounded him. He found out about everything going on. I don't know who told him, but kudos to them. So now look at Tyler. Hey, Billy, you want to try my whistle? You know what? It's great for kids to be forgiving. So, right. So, anyways, oops. And it ends up with them walking away together. That maybe they might actually even become friends. You just never know. Now, this book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, on my website. You can get them from Reader's Magnet, I'm sure. And I came up with I had a book signing recently. And at my book signing, I had my first book. Now, I want to show you this. We just had a roundtable session with Ellie. She's an awesome moderator. She's an awesome writer. Anyways, and they were talking about book covers. So if you guys are interested in book covers and stuff, I'm going to show you. This is my first book I ever published. I did it with a different publisher. They did not, I have no idea. I'm sure they did not read my book. They just were looking for some kind of a cover to put on it that showed a South Florida waterway. So this is what they came up with, The Sounds at River's Edge. Now it looks like, it's especially up around the northeastern Florida, like up there around St. Augustine and different areas where they've got some of this marshy, or if you went further south near the Everglades. But where I grew up, it didn't look quite like that. But this is the cover that they gave me several choices. This was the best out of the ones that they had. Well, Reader's Magnet now has rebranded that book, and look at the cover that they've done. Now, this it's The Sounds of River's Edge, same book, but it's all about me, and my relationship with my dad from 4 years old till 8. Actually, about 4.5, but to 8. This this speaks the sounds at River's Edge because we lived between the Intracoastal. We lived right on the Intracoastal Waterway, but if I could fly like a bird, we weren't even quite a mile from the Atlantic Ocean. So it was the Atlantic Ocean and the waterway. It was all one. Reader's Magnet, they actually told me stories in my book that made that it was a father-daughter book. It's also about me and my sister. She's 4 years older than me. And yes, I was not necessarily nice to her, but I felt like it was survival. So you'd have to read the stories. Just don't think badly of me. Some of the people who have known me for years, they'll read it and they're like, "Wow, you were mean to your sister." No, it was called survival. You're 4 years younger. She didn't want you in the first place. So you kind of have to do what you have to do. Thank you, Alyssa. Okay. So anyways, the Duck Springs, you can get that. And when I had my book signing recently, which I had both books, and this one I had sitting, and I had, we'll talk about marketing here. Well, I got my whistles all tied up. Okay. And I had the book like this with a whistle in front of it. So the little kids, because this is a big festival that I had this book signing at here in Fort Payne, and there were thousands, actually tens of thousands of people there. And I had my book set up like this, and the kids would come in going, "Oh, Mommy, can I get a whistle?" Well, here was my deal. So you guys might want to think about this when, like, if you're at a book signing or something and you have something that you can get. I got these through Etsy very, very cheaply. Anyways, but I told the mom, I said, "Look, I'll sell you the whistle for $7, and then you get a free book. Or you could buy the book for $7 and get a free whistle." It worked great. I can't tell you how many kids I had coming over going, "Well, I want a whistle too." And then of course mom would have to get those kids, a whistle too, because you can't have like 3 or 4 kids without having each of one of them a whistle. I'd hate to have been in their car going home. But and then I even gave we had some people at church that had heard about it, and she had 3 children, so I took these books to her, and a whistle for each one of the kids. And I told her, I said, "You might not want to give them the whistle in church. Okay?" And she said, "I think that's a good idea too." Well, she told me later that as soon as they got out of church and they saw the book and the whistle, they were like, "Ah!" And she said all the way home, they had to put the windows down because the shrill. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." I said, your husband, who he's a coach. I mean, he coaches football, he coaches baseball for the boys and stuff. And but he thought it was funny, because she was the lone female in the place. So, but anyways, I want to thank you guys. I know that my time is getting near ending. It's not quite, but it is getting near ending. And I just want to tell you that I have published with a different publisher, and I think out of proper etiquette, I'm not going to name their name. But the experience I had with them in realizing that, because I would ask them certain things about, you know, getting my book published, and they had no um, awareness of actually the story. And it's not like it's a big story or a long story, but it would have been nice. Oh, Clarence, thank you so much. Anyways, it would have been nice if they had read at least 1 or 2 stories in there to know what the book was about, because a publisher should they're supposed to be there for you. You're actually, if you're self-publishing, you're paying them to do your book. So by all means, find you a publisher, and I would recommend Reader's Magnet. I'm not going to tell you they're perfect, because I don't believe there is anything such as perfect. I think even if you had an agent and somebody came up and said, "Hey, man, we want to give you X amount of dollars to publish your book," I'm sure that there's going to be things along the way that are not going to be perfect. We live in an imperfect world with imperfect people. And, but you know what? You do want to get the best that you can for what you're doing. So Reader's Magnet has been very fair with me, and they've listened to me vent when I was unhappy with things, and they've always tried to make things right. And if I was in the wrong, then I'm definitely going to apologize. So just remember, um, they're a great place to go. If you have not been published yet, I would definitely look into their uh, I can't even think what it's called. Their programs or their packets that they have, because there's different levels that you can publish on. And by all means, once you get published, do things like this. I've not been able to go to the book fairs. I know for a lot of times that actually the Festival of Storytellers came out and about because of COVID. They weren't having any in-person book fairs, and so this came about as a virtual book fair, and it's been a blast. I've been at all three now: the first, second, now this is the third, and they like Ellie was saying earlier, this one is different because they have actually added to it the roundtable discussions, and they're so informative. They've got some more roundtable discussions. You need to go on to the Festival of Storytellers site and actually look for the roundtables. And there's still, I think, 2 more days. I think it's 2 more days, might be three, but 2 more days for sure of more roundtable sessions. And just get in there and listen. Even if you don't want to contribute, you can just tell them, "Hey, man, I would just want to hear it. I just want to listen." And there's so much that you can learn from other authors. There's several people on there that I've listened to that have published like 8, 9 and 10 books, you know, and so they're very experienced. They're very well thought out. The moderators, with the exclusion of myself sometimes, but the moderators have been great. Reader's Magnet, the hosts and the co-hosts, usually, well, I've had Frank and James. I've also had John, and they've been awesome. So, and I know Lourdes has been on there. So what I'm telling to you is, by all means, if you want to get your book published, look at Reader's Magnet. If you're already published and you don't know where to go and you don't know what to do, they'll market it for you. Talk to them. And by all means, look at some of these roundtable discussions. Learn as much as you can, because I can't even remember the author that said it, or the person, but knowledge is power. It really is. The more you know, the better off you'll be, because you'll have something to be able to work with, and you won't be blindsided, because there's a lot of companies out there that would love to just take your money and run. Reader's Magnet will stand by you. So I want to thank Reader's Magnet for giving me this time that I've been able to look at myself and talk to me, but I'm imagining you. Clarence, I see your face when I saw you come up, and I'm like, man, I miss talking. We had a great time that last festival, and there are so many good authors. I don't know about any of the rest of you, but I know this. This cost me a bundle. And the reason it cost me a bundle is because every time I hear these authors talk about their books, I have to buy them. So, like, I've got this list of books of all these ones. I've already bought some, but now I've got to go through the list to make sure that I can get the rest of them. So, I want to thank you for listening to me ramble on. I want to thank you for watching my book and the whistle, and also the sounds at River's Edge. I can't think of anything else to say except I hope your days go well. I pray that God prospers each one of you, and for all of you authors, keep writing, because we still need plenty to read. I need books. So I'm going to cut it off with that. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Liz, my author relations person, for getting me in here on time. Good job, Liz. I'll talk to you later. God be with you all.